Haud Yer Wheesht.
Welcome to Haud Yer Wheesht, the podcast where we do everything but Haud Yer Wheesht. My name is Shaun, and today I am joined with Moscow.
Hey!
And Erin.
Hi.
AKA Beauty Creep. And today we're talking about, we're going to make it up as we go along a little bit, to be honest, but one thing I do want to talk about, and I've been talking about this on Twitter and Instagram for this episode. Since I'm leading, I thought I would talk about some stories that we might be able to share from our travels or places we've been that might be a wee bit awkward or funny. I've got quite a few stories like that, and I know that you guys do as well on the podcast, and so I thought it'd be a bit of a laugh if we could talk through them. But we'll get to that in a wee bit, because I think, first of all, it's obviously been 2 weeks since we launched this podcast now. The first episode I thought was a good success. It was a good trial and error.
Hell yeah.
It was really, really good fun. I enjoyed it. And we had a lot of good comments, and we got 400 subscribers on YouTube.
I know, thank you, by the way.
Really
Thank you so
well.
much for all the feedback. That was so helpful.
Oh,
was
the
really
comments were amazing to go through on YouTube. So if you left us a comment, thank you so much.
I
was
sounded
really, really
sarcastic there. It was so helpful.
It was so helpful. No, but it was. I really enjoyed reading through the comments. I guess a common theme that I saw in the comments was, first of all, is that a lot of people said, well, if you're going to do a YouTube version, it should be on video. And the reason that that's quite difficult is because we don't have our own studio. And also, the three of us all live in different parts of Scotland. Like, I'm on the East Coast, Erin, you're on the West Coast, and Moscow is in the middle of us. So it's quite impractical for us to get together and do video versions of these. That's the reason why we're not doing it, really, isn't it?
Yeah, and then people also...
I'm obviously I was just going to say, I'm obviously in the middle, so it would be easy for you two to come here if we ever did do it, but the problem we've got with my flat is my neighbours make a lot of noise. I'm like in a block of flats, and there's always somebody somewhere making noise, and the reverb in my flat, because it's an older building as well, isn't the best, so we would need an actual studio.
And people also ask, like, why don't you record remotely through, like, Zoom or something? And we did talk about it, but it's exactly, we don't like watching that. And it's also so much more editing, and we just don't have the time. We just can't do it. So this is, like, the best option for now. But maybe in future, you never know.
Maybe in future. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I would love to do it in video as well, because, everybody's different. I kind of watch podcasts now on YouTube. That's the way I get my podcast content, and a lot of people watch it and other people listen, and it's fine either way. But we're just starting out with this. It's early days. It might take years before we get to that stage, and like I said, we would love to film it eventually. And lots of people left that comment. Like, we must have seen about 20 different people say the same thing. They would like to see it on video, but it's just impractical for us right now.
One day
we will become a video cast, but until then we're just a podcast.
Just audio, which is good, because as well as people who watch podcasts, a lot of people listen to podcasts when they're in the gym, when they're in the car, or whatever they're doing, or they might be pretending to work and listening to podcasts at the same time, or whatever, on the train to work, stuff like that. Lots of different things. And so that's why we thought, an audio's a good, easy way for us to get started. But it was good fun. I enjoyed that chat the last time we did that, and we're going to do it every 2 weeks.
Woohoo!
Yes.
What did you guys think about the first one in general, doing it? Did you enjoy it?
Oh, I loved it.
So much fun. I'm actually on my second gin this time, so it's going to be even worse than last week, 2 weeks ago. Because I have had a day, so I'm on my second gin, and but it might help my chat. I don't know.
Yeah. So what's been since the last time we spoke? What's been happening with you guys? Erin, you said you've had a bit of a nightmare.
Yeah, Erin, tell us about that.
I spoke to Tammy just before. Wait, can I even mention that?
I don't. Do you want to mention it? I mean, look, it's a thing. It happens. It's a human body. It's a thing.
It's actually very common, right? And people with vaginas. Just going to put it out there. I have a cyst. It's very young. I'm moving about like an absolute idiot on my floor right now. If anyone can see me, you just. So yeah, it's not fun. I love that we're starting out this bloody podcast by talking about a cyst, vaginal cyst.
This is incredible.
But I couldn't get through to the doctors this morning. I phoned at bloody 8:30 in the morning, and all the appointments had gone, and I was like, I cried, not gonna lie. Phoned NHS 24, and they were like, no, get your GP, get the duty doctor, talk to her, or him, could be. And I was like, right, I didn't know I could do that, so I phoned up, and the duty doctor was like, don't worry about it, we'll give you antibiotics. And I was like, I love you. But the receptionist, oh my God, he was like, so what's your symptoms? And I was like, Bartholin's cyst. I couldn't be any more specific. And he went, and where's that? I was like, my labia.
Wow.
Oh dear.
Why do the receptionists need to know?
Like, you do not need to know exactly where this cyst is, Brian. Like, come on. So, yeah, I can't believe I've brought this up on a podcast.
Well, I mean, that's the thing in these podcasts, we can kind of talk about anything we feel comfortable talking about. This is a bit of a
the amount of people
space.
that have left the building right now. I'm joking.
It's so common, though.
I wouldn't know that, but like, if it is, then, I hopefully you're not in any discomfort now. Are you feeling better?
No.
Right.
No, it'll be there for a while, probably.
It'll be there for a while, but I'm on
enough to have a
antibiotics. Exactly, like this is going to distract me. And then my car started making rattling noises, and I was like, "This sucks." So that's been my day. How about yours?
That is a day. That is some day.
But thank God it's Friday.
Thank God it's Friday. That is for sure. And we don't post these podcasts on Fridays, by the way. Just anybody listening. But we I was going to say film them, but we're not filming them. We're recording them. We record them on Fridays. Anyway, how about you, Moscow? How are you getting on?
Yeah, I'm good. I have nothing as exciting in my life going on as Erin does.
No cysts.
Nope. I mean, that is a persistent problem, but no, it was terrible. No, I was off this week from work actually, so I was like cleaning the flat, and then I got sucked into there was loads of fan fictions that I was determined to read. So that's been me.
Nice.
Aww.
Have you been writing anymore? Because I know you said, was it 5 billion words or 5 million words? Or something
2 million. 2 million words. Yeah.
20 billion.
30 billion words.
30 billion. That's more words than exist in the world.
Did I write this week? Yes, I did write a bit this week, but I think it was only a couple of thousand. So.
Oh, just a couple of thousand.
Just
that's nothing,
That's nothing.
I don't think I wrote that many words this week, and my job is to write, so...
It's the difference when you're writing things that you want to write and somebody's just forcing you to do it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. I hope my boss isn't listening. Anyway.
I hope my boss isn't listening.
Let's hope none of our bosses are listening.
Oh, gosh.
Ever. They can never listen to any of this.
Oh, I'm fine. My boss already knows I do fan fiction, so I'm good.
I would die. My boss was I hope you're all right. And I was like, yeah, all good. Nothing's wrong.
I was going to say, I don't think my boss knows what type of fan fiction, but let's just leave it there. We'll come to that on the fan fiction episode.
Yeah, we will talk about that at some point.
Hell yeah.
I'm looking forward to that. But so yeah, I'm looking for the comments of the last YouTube video that we posted for the podcast, and if anybody isn't yet subscribed onto the YouTube channel, go over there. I'm not sure, do we have a URL yet?
Not yet. We have to be on it for 30 days before we can get our custom URL. But I did try searching it and it never came up. But just we've been posting about it on all our social media, so you'll be able to find the link somewhere. Yeah,
so if you go on any of our social medias, you'll be able to find the link to Haud Yer Wheesht on YouTube, and then also Spotify. We need to get this right because we've got Spotify, right? We do it on Anchor.
Search it on there. Yeah.
So we've got Anchor, which is basically a service which is owned by Spotify now. It's all on Spotify as well. We did have a bit of a chat about Apple Podcasts and Google Podcasts. What, Moscow, you kind of know more about that. What's going on there?
Yeah, so I applied to Google Pods, and it's still going to take a couple of days, I think, before we appear on there. But that process went through. It was fairly seamless. It was just like, cool, what's the name of your podcast? Give us the link, and then confirm your email. We're good to go. So that's happening with Google Pod, and I think we should be appearing on there shortly. Mm-hmm. And then Apple, I had to confirm my email, confirm my mobile number, give them my credit card details, give them my address details, and they still would not take us. I was like, I need to give you a drop of blood. So I left it a couple of days in case it was maybe just taking a while to set up the ID. And then today I had a call with a lovely gentleman from Apple Help, because the Anchor guys were like, you're going to have to speak to Apple because it's with them. And I was on a call today with a lovely gentleman from Apple, and we were on a call for 30 minutes, and we think we have set the process up. So we should be appearing on Apple within 10 days. Yes. We'll keep you posted.
Nice. So we will be there eventually. And I think, even though it's difficult to get on Apple Podcasts, it used to be easy. And even though if it's difficult, it's worth it because it's still statistically, it is the place where most people listen to podcasts in the world. Apparently.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is it? I
I just thought it'd be
our
Spotify.
other pod. Yeah, I was going to say our other podcast was showing more positive results from Spotify than Apple.
That might be audience related. I mean, that's cool.
Yeah,
that's true. Spotify is
a lot of
obviously
people have
massive.
iPhones, so.
But yeah, apparently iTunes and the Apple podcast platform is the most listened to place where you listen to podcasts, apparently. So there will be people on it, but we'll get there eventually. We will get there, and we really appreciate anyone who's went on to any of the podcasting platforms who's went there and left us a review, because that means the podcasting platforms will probably push us up in their algorithm, I think.
Yes, I think we actually got a lot of people that gave us 5-star reviews on Spotify. So if you did that, that's honestly so appreciated. You've no idea. I think when I checked, we had like was it 20 something 5-star reviews on Spotify already?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So
that's awesome. That's really good, really helpful.
Thanks,
and yeah, like I said, if anybody is listening to us on any of the podcasting platforms, give us a review. So for me, in the last week, I have been down in London. I've been working down there, which was a bit of a pain in the arse to get down there. Stayed a couple of nights and came back last night really late, and then was working today again. So I'm feeling pretty tired, to be honest. I've got low energy. I've been posting videos still from my trip to Brazil. I've got another 4 videos for Brazil yet to post, and it's kind of weird, right? Because I was out there for 5 weeks, and I made like 10 or 12 videos, and I've been posting them. I don't post them like more than twice a week, but it's actually been once a week mostly. And so people are commenting like, "Oh, are you still out there?" When actually it's been weeks and weeks since I've been there. And I find that's kind of a weird thing about YouTube, because like, I've been posting on Instagram on stories, and then people are like, "Oh, I thought you were in Brazil."
Yeah.
And so.
Do you know what though? It's good though, because then it stops people being able to time when you're out of your house so they can rob you. That was one of the things that my mum was like, maybe it's a good idea you wait till you come home before you start posting videos.
That is so weird, and that's actually, there's a question somebody sent about that exact thing, but I'll get to that at the end.
Oh, I'm excited for today's episode.
It's going to be good. So, we're going to talk about things. So basically, each episode of this podcast, each one of us is taking a turn to decide a topic, and I thought something that's quite fun, because I know that all 3 of us, we like to go different places, which we'll find out about in this episode, and I love to travel as well. And I think one of the funny things about traveling, one of the cool things, it doesn't have to be traveling far. I mean, you could even be talking about traveling to London or England or anywhere in Scotland even, but the kind of funny things that happen, or the awkward things that happen sometimes as well when you're traveling. So I asked people to send in some of their stories, and I didn't get a massive response, to be honest, but I didn't give them much notice either, to be fair. But somebody did send in the story, and I thought we could start with their story, and then we can talk about our own experiences.
Go for it. Sure. I've got a few ridiculous ones.
Oh, can't wait to hear them. I bet they're going to be brilliant. Knowing you, they will be absolutely brilliant.
Just you wait.
So I got a direct message, right, on Instagram from Callie Booth Hovey, who is at Not All Who Wander Oz. Not All Who Wander Oz.
I get that. I get that reference. I get that reference. Yeah, Not All Who Wander are lost. It's from right. Lord of the Rings.
Got it. So the Oz at the end is like AUS for Australia. So it makes they're obviously from Australia.
They've got to be.
So their story, right? In 2010, and this is me voicing over her message, so I'm not talking about myself here when I say I, just to be clear. In 2010, I was 20 years old and went to America for the very first overseas adventure with a fake ID and a mate's Aussie license. 2 days into the trip, and my first day with the rest of the crew, I had my wallet stolen. Being a first-time traveller, I stupidly had all of my stuff in one place, and all my cash, cards, IDs gone in an instant.
Oh dear. After
a few panic calls and tears back home to Australia, to our parents, they sent some money over, transferred into account, into one of our fellow travellers. They were with a group of people, I think. So off we go onto the trip to Las Vegas, which is not so great. Apparently, if you're a 20-year-old Aussie with no money and no travelling skills and no idea, this is her words, not mine. After being denied from 3 casinos to withdraw money and get an account set up, she was told to head to a dodgy milk bar on the outskirts of Las Vegas to withdraw money. That's a bit weird.
Surely
weird. In Las Vegas you would imagine, this is me interjecting by the way, surely in Las Vegas you'd imagine there's loads of like money transfer places all across the strip. I've never been there, like, but
you would think there'd be places that could help her with her situation, right?
Yeah. And
I still don't know what a milk bar is.
I don't know what a milk bar is either. Like,
I just picture like loads of different boobs.
Yeah. A milk bar, what is this? A dodgy milk bar. Like, I don't know. Is it, in my head, I know where your head. You went to the gutter end, but for me, I'm thinking like milkshakes.
I was picturing something out of Star Wars. Like, for anybody that's a fellow geek out there, they'll know what I'm referring to.
I know what you mean.
Do you?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know where my head went to like milkshakes, but anyway, that's
probably what it is. That's probably what it is.
So anyway, gets in the taxi, goes to this dodgy milk bar on the outskirts of Las Vegas, and the taxi wouldn't even take her there. It stopped about 5 blocks from it and said, "Sorry, we don't go into that area." So she went walking. I know.
This sounds like the victim of a murder diary.
So she was walking along the street to this milk bar, whatever that is, and somebody in a car was driving past and shouted how much to her as she was walking.
Oh no.
And asked 3 or 4 times how much. And then she finally got the nerve to ask what the fuck he was on about. She got hot and tired and angry Australian temper, she said. And then she finally realised she thought she was a hooker. And she almost died of embarrassment. But I'm left hanging here because the story ends. It doesn't tell me much more about what happened after that. But presumably she managed to get money from the milk bar and ended up back in the Las Vegas Strip.
I mean, I'd like to hope so.
I want to know what type of milk she had. Let us know.
But yeah, I can see how that would be awkward. You know, you don't want to be going to a foreign country like alone for the first time. You know, especially as a young person, you've never been. You don't know what. You know, even though they speak English.
And get mistaken for a hooker.
Get propositioned.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
That's pretty bad. But yeah, no, there's loads of stories like this we could tell. Like I've had loads myself, and I'm one.
You've been mistaken for a prostitute.
No comment. That would be funny.
He's like, how much? And Sean's like, what are you talking about?
How much? Join my Patreon. Something like that. Yeah, no, that's never, that specific thing's never happened to me, but you can see how that'd be awkward if you're going abroad and, you know, that happens. But also like when you just lose your money and wallet and stuff, I've had that happen to me before. Like have
you?
My own stupid fault. Actually, it was in America. I was in Florida, and the people who organised the trip gave us a bunch of cash to take around. I think it was like $500. And I left it. We went to like 3 or 4 different hotels on the trip, so we were like moving rooms quite a lot. And one thing I was so pissed off, I left $500, and it was all the cash I had on the TV like tabletop, and left it. And we flew away to another city, so I'd lost $500. They must have thought that was the best tip ever.
I know.
They must have thought these Scottish people are not tight-fisted at all.
Was that on the US Embassy trip?
Yeah, it was, yeah. I was gutted. Brilliant. Still think about that to this day. Anyway, who should we start with? We've got stories to tell.
Moscow.
Why me?
I don't know. I can start if you want. I have a few.
I have been volunteered. I'll go then.
Go for it.
I've got a funny one for Japan, but I feel like I want to make the audience wait for that one, so maybe that'll be my last.
Yeah.
It's more funny than it is awkward, but my friend is getting so fucking sick of me telling that story, but I don't care because it's great and I'll tell it anyway.
Yeah,
but,
you've not heard it.
Oh no, so I'll start off with a slightly more awkward one, and this is actually a warning for anybody that's going to Rome.
Okay.
This one is more awkward. So when in Rome, there are people in the streets who will approach you and try and sell you things. And they are incredibly persistent. Like other people will probably talk online about how you avoid them and like what you could do to sort of get around them, but they are very, very incredibly persistent. And they will usually target women, and they'll usually target lone women. And so I was at I can't even remember which part we were at, but it was Oh gosh, we were beside a fountain. It's not the fountain that I'm thinking of. I don't know the names of anywhere. Like, yeah, it's not the fountain.
It wasn't the Trevi fountain.
No, it wasn't that one. It was like another smaller one, just not far away from our hotel. It was like kind of just where we were meeting up. That was like our meet up spot.
Like the reserve fountain.
Yeah, like it was just like a small fountain, and my friend Mark was like, right, cool, I'm gonna bounce back to the hotel and collect that. I think he'd forgot his sunglasses or something. So he went back, and I was stood there, and they were like trying to sell these roses, and they kept coming up to me, and they kept going like, do you want a rose? Do you want a rose? And they obviously didn't understand English that well. They only understood enough words to try and sell me what it was that they had in their hand. And me being Scottish, obviously, as I am, politely said no the first few times, don't want it, but they kept coming up, they kept pushing. Eventually, in my very ladylike tones, I told him what he could do with the rose. And and the look I got told him he didn't fully understand the words, but he could tell from the tone of the voice kind of what I meant. He turned around. Yeah, he turned around and started propositioning another woman instead, just a little bit further away. I was like, oh gosh, that poor lady. And then by the time Mark came out to join us, that other woman had bought a rose. She would just bought it to shut them up.
Oh, no.
But this is what they'll do. They'll come up and they'll do this. And when me and Mark were walking down one of the streets, there was a gentleman ran up and tried to like tie a friendship bracelet round Mark's arm, and then kept like demanding that he pay for it. And Mark was like, I don't even fucking want it. Like, so he ripped it off and threw it on the ground, and we ran for it. So I loved Rome. Like, there was so much good stuff to see there. But if you are going by yourself, is just to like be prepared to take headphones and just ignore anybody that walks up to you. That's my advice.
I hate these aggressive people that try and push stuff on you. Like, I don't mind if people stop and try and talk to you and try and sell you stuff, but like if it's aggressive, it's just not nice.
Yes, yeah, no, these are very aggressive.
Not good.
So that's my awkward one. I'll tell the funny one later. I think somebody else should give us a story now.
I'm going to go to you, Erin.
Okay. No, you just reminded me of when I went to Rome, and I had a kind of strange experience. It isn't a funny story. I'll just tell it really briefly. But basically, we met our friend like outside the Colosseum. We didn't even know she was going to be there, and it was so mobbed. And we bumped into our pal, and we were like, "What the hell are you doing here?" And she's like,
"For Scotland."
Doing here? From
all the Glasgow's in Rome.
Yeah, it was really, really weird. And then I posted a photo on Facebook after the holiday, and it was me in front of this random fountain, not the fountain.
Another fountain. How many fountains are there in Rome?
Loads of fountains. A lot of fountains. And I was wearing this old play suit from H&M, and the friend that I met at the Colosseum commented on it saying, "Oh, this is really weird." My neighbour just banged. Did you hear that? That was loud. Yeah, so she said, "This is really weird." And then she posted a photo of her in front of the exact same fountain in the exact same play suit.
Wow.
Wow.
The same person, the same friend you'd met, right?
Yep. And the same outfit.
That is creepy.
What the heck? But yeah, that is weird. That's not an awkward or funny story. But it's
just a coincidence.
Yeah, no, there's just a lot of I have a lot of stories, but God, this could be a whole other podcast. But I'm going to talk about it's a trip that was documented on YouTube. I've got 3 vlogs from it. It's when me and my friends.
What's one of the titles of the videos? Sorry to interrupt you.
No, not at all. We went to Munich, Innsbruck, and Vienna. So the vlogs are just called like. I can't even remember. I just watched the Munich one to refresh my memory, and it's really funny. I must say.
So if somebody types in stupid. Munich beauty creep, they'll find it.
Yes, it's the first one that comes up, and it's so stupid. Like the humour is so daft, but I couldn't stop laughing because it's so daft. But yeah, so we went to Munich first, and even before we went on holiday, we got to the airport, and Steph was like, "I don't think I've got enough euros. I'm going to lift out 100 euros." So she goes over to the cash machine, lifts out money, realises she's just lifted out £100. So then she has to go over to the place to exchange it. So she exchanged it into euros. But she, before the guys even finished counting, she sticks her entire arm under the window to try and like get. No. And I was like, "Steph, what?" I was like, "You still leave him alone. He's going to hand you." And she just got really awkward, and it was really funny. But when we actually got there, I think this was when we were waiting on the train to potentially go to Innsbruck, and we were sitting in this Starbucks. We sat at the window in the wee stools, and the stools were overlooking the platform. And we looked over to the side, and there was this random rucksack just sitting next to a bin.
Mysterious.
And we were like, good idea.
Yeah, we were like, does that belong to someone? And this random staff member walked past the window and pointed to it and asked, like, is this yours? And we were
What's
like,
the first
no.
thing that comes into your head when you see a backpack on its
Bomb.
own in a travelling place? Bomb, right?
Yeah.
But I was like, I really want to finish my coffee. Will we just like just have a wee look and see what's so all of a sudden, right?
Priorities.
Yeah, I know, right? I was like, I need to finish this coffee. I need to wake up. So loads of police, sniffer dog, everything. And then the most attractive policeman you've ever seen in your life is walking towards us. And honestly, he was like something out of film. And he was asking, he's like, did you see who put the bag there? Blah, blah. We're saying no. And then he goes, where are you from? And I was like, Scotland.
Was that your German accent, by the way?
No, yeah. Yeah. And he was like, oh, have a nice day. And then he walked away and my whole body was numb. I was like, oh my God. But yeah, it was a false alarm. And then when we actually got to, I think it was Innsbruck, we got off the train and there was another random rucksack just sitting on the road. And I was like, I'm walking away. I'm not being a part of this anymore. So we carried on. And so we went to this bar in Innsbruck. I've just got so many things written down. I'm just going to go through them. Screw it.
Go for it.
We went to this bar and these 3 guys came over to chat us up and they were really, really nice. And they were like, oh, teach us something in Scots. And we were so drunk and we were trying to talk German the whole time. And the guys were like, look, you don't have to try and talk German. We can talk English. Our English is better than your German. So they went, oh, teach us something in Scots. And before I could even say anything, Steph just goes, get your balls out.
Oh no.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Died. I was like, Steph, you can't just tell these guys to get their... And they were like, oh, what does that mean? And she's like, oh, it means you have a nice face. And we were like,
A nice face.
So these guys are just going to go about going, get your balls out to random people.
Oh, you might need to explain that to the audience. Like some people
That's true.
might not know us and might not know what that means. You have
Get
to
your
tell them what it
balls
actually
out.
means.
Get your balls out is just get your balls out. Get your
With our
balls
way
out.
of saying
Gonads.
it. I mean, there's loads of things we say like that. Like,
Ghoulies.
people just would look at us a blank look and you could literally say anything and they might believe it.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, exactly. It was so funny. And they were like, get your balls out. Oh. And then we went to this other bar and I don't know why this sticks in my head. It's not even that funny, but these guys were like, oh, can we use this stool but in German? And I tried to pass them the stool but accidentally just chucked it on the floor and I was like, oh please. And then we went to Innsbruck. I think, were we in Innsbruck? I can't remember. We were in Innsbruck anyway and we stayed in this random man's house. He wasn't in it at the time. He rented it out and it had Jesus everywhere.
Was this like an Airbnb type of situation?
I don't even know where. I think it was booking.com, but yeah, it was like you rented it out. Jesus everywhere. It was the most haunted looking house you've ever seen in your life. Terrifying.
Jesus everywhere.
Nothing against Jesus. Sure, he's a great guy.
Jesus.
Jesus. Yeah, really, really creepy. But we took a little trip from there because we wanted to go to this festival called Krampusnacht.
Krampusnacht.
Yeah, so it's like Krampus night, and Krampus is this
Is that the creepy Santa thing?
Yeah, it's like a mythical creature in like German, Austrian folklore, and it's like this horrible looking goat man thing with really sharp teeth that steals children, and this is what they tell their kids if they're bad. Krampus is going to get you. Yes. So there's this festival where like there's all
Christmas is a nightmare in Germany.
I know. But yeah, this was like, I don't know if it's more an Austrian thing and then some places in Germany, because Germany do have their own version, I think. But yeah, we wanted to go to this festival and it's all these people dressed up as Krampus and it's really creepy and we like creepy weird things, so we were looking forward to that. So we got a 4-hour train to Klagenfurt for this bloody festival. And then we went to this Irish... We kept stumbling on Irish bars. We're like, how's this
Irish bars.
Yeah.
Such a typical British tourist.
We went to this Irish bar and we drank so much gin that every time I went up, the guy went, Dorstig. Like, are you thirsty? And I was like, what? And then I said to him, I was like, the place was so empty. Like, the entire town was so empty. And I went, when's this Krampus festival? And he went, Krampus festival? He went, that was 2 weeks ago.
Oh no!
So
she went to this random place in the middle of nowhere.
Oh God!
for a bloody festival. It was 2 weeks ago, and I was like, how am I going to tell her this? She's been so looking forward to this. And I went back and I was like, look, there's no festival, mate. And then when we went back to 4-hour train back to Innsbruck, so we took a 4-hour train to Klagenfurt for a blooming Irish pub.
I love how confidently you say these German names of places. I could never even attempt it. Klagenfurt.
Well, this is in Austria now, but Klagenfurt, yeah. God, I'm getting confused whether that's in Germany and Austria or Austria now.
Oh, I don't even know. I just said Germany.
1.5 gins and I forget everything. So I went back to Innsbruck, and it was such an amazing place. I'd really recommend Innsbruck. But yeah, we walked about at night and it was like minus God knows what, it was freezing, and there was like church bells going off and like nuns walking about, and it was just so creepy and amazing. And we spotted these 2 guys dressed as Krampus in the distance because we'd had a few drinks. Like, they spotted us and we screamed and ran away, and they started chasing us. And we get back into the house, and they were like at the window, like scrap. It's all on video. You need to watch the vlog. It's crazy.
They literally followed you to the house and were like banging on the window.
Yeah. But there's like so much happened on that trip. I can't even imagine. I just always remember going to Dachau concentration camp, which was really like it was really
That's
interesting,
heavy.
but obviously really heavy. But there was this American man, and he kept going, this is sobering. And I was like, I know, we get it, but it was like every 2 seconds. And then he went down the stairs, and there were like these stainless steel stairs, and he went, stainless steel. And for some reason I couldn't stop laughing, and I was like, this is not the appropriate place to laugh. Anyway, yeah, it's just so stupid, but it's all in the video, and it's these silly things kept happening, and I for some reason wrote them all down. But yeah, I have many other. I've actually got a prostitute related story, but Shaun, I'll let you go before me.
We need to hear a prostitute story before
it's
this
not even
video,
a funny story.
before this vlog, before this podcast is over.
Vlogcast. Yeah, Shaun,
podcast.
go. What's your awkward funny story?
Well, funnily enough, mine is in Germany as well. I mean, there must be a thing about Germany and weird stories happening.
I need to go to Germany.
Love Germany.
Go to Germany.
Oh my god, I love it.
Go to Germany if you want some weird situations. We actually had quite a few weird situations. I'll tell you one. I'll tell you another one. The other one later as well, because it's quite funny. I wasn't even planning on telling that, but anyway. So the first one, right? Me and my other half, Tekka, we were going to Berlin, where our friends were waiting for us already. They'd been there for a couple of weeks already, and I think it was like the middle of winter or stuff. And we just thought we'd go and visit our pals who were from Brazil, and they were over there visiting. So we get our EasyJet, and we head off over to Berlin. At the airport, get out of the airport, and we thought rather than getting a taxi, I think we were kind of broke at the time, and we're like, rather than getting a taxi, we'll get the metro. I don't know if that's what they call it over there, the metro or the underground or the tube or whatever.
It'll be the U-Bahn.
U-Bahn. All right. Yeah, something like that. Underground train, because they had one at the airport and it goes right into the city of Berlin.
Yeah, there's the S-Bahn and there's the U-Bahn, and there's like double-decker ones. It's really good fun.
Double-decker, wow.
Yeah.
This wasn't. In fact, this was like a really kind of like dark and dirty underground train, like the London Underground, basically.
London Underground. Sorry. That's a great song. That's a great song. All right.
I don't even know what that song is.
Oh, they're all greedy, fucking useless cunts. London Underground. You not heard that one?
No, I'll need
they're
to
all
look
greedy cunts. I want to shoot the ball with a rifle. Na 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 na. Okay,
I'm definitely gonna check that out.
I'll stop that now.
That's probably quite relatable, because I go in the London Underground
the
quite a lot.
floors are sticky and the seats are damp. Every platform has a fucking tramp. Anyway, I'll stop.
Wow. Well,
it's good.
You actually painted a really good picture there for me, because that's exactly what this underground was like. Set at the scene. It was pitch black, right? And I think we got there on it was like a Sunday evening or something. I want to say it was a night when it was quiet. There was not many people around in general. Like, I think everybody else off this EasyJet must have got Ubers or taxis or whatever. And we decided, right, we'll save some money, we'll get this underground train into the city centre. So we get on it. And there's basically nobody on this train. Like, I mean, just us on the carriage. And we're going along for about 20 minutes, 30 minutes, something like that. And then we noticed this guy got on the train on his own. And he was the only other person on the train. We were kind of sat at the back of the carriage. Not sat. It's exactly like the London Underground. You don't really sit. You can stand up. And we were kind of leaning against the back of the carriage, but looking all the way down the middle of it, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Just the two of us, and I had I distinctly remember this because it's an important part of the story. I had a can of Coke in my hand, right? I was drinking this can of Coke that I bought in the airport. This guy gets on the train at one of the stops, and then we take off again, and he was like he looked like a military man. He was super fit, like muscles on top of muscles, right? Some kind of like
Like
Action
Captain
Man type of
America
dude.
style.
Well, yeah, but his clothes were, he had like a vest on, like a, you know these vests that people who work out wear.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
So
yeah,
you can
like
see
it,
their
yeah.
abs and you can see their chest muscles
Tank
and all the rest
top.
of it.
Is it a
Tank top, that's
yeah.
it, aye.
Yeah.
But it was all very plain. It was, I want to say it was all very dark coloured. And he had like, I want to say like combat trousers. They had like all these pockets. Anyway, that's not important. He was a big, strong man. He was probably 6 foot tall, something like that. And he stood to attention on this train as we started to move. And then, in a really robotic fashion, turned towards us in the middle of the train, right? Like,
Right.
and was standing to attention like a soldier. Like, exactly like a soldier. Stood to attention, like, totally, I wanted to say erect, but that's not the right word. He was stood to attention, right?
That's
Like,
still
with
the
his
right
arms
word.
by-
It's just it
Aye.
has other connotations.
It
It's
has other
fine.
He
connotations,
faced me
right, but-
totally erect.
And he was looking directly down the train towards us, and I'm thinking, all right,
Oh
okay,
shit.
what's this about? And then it took like 2 or 3 robotic, like imagine like a robot moving, 2
Yeah.
or 3 robotic steps forward. And then he kind of, have you seen these army people when they turn directions from one side to the other?
Yeah.
They do like it in a
Yes.
swift kind of robotic move.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're meaning. Yeah.
So he did one turn towards the window of like facing the side now as we're moving along, and then out of nowhere, boom, ha ha, does all these karate moves like to thin air.
Okay.
Oh my god.
And I look at my wife and thinking, what is this about? What have we stumbled upon here? We've arrived in Germany for the first time. None of us speak a word of German. Let's just see how this plays out.
Yeah.
And then exactly how he had moved to this one side, facing one side, he then switched and looked towards us again. He did a wee march, like 4 or 5 steps, looking towards us, and then paused again. And he was getting closer. And then he started doing the karate moves, looking directly at us. Like, I don't know, he must have busted like 5 or 6 moves of these like kind of karate moves, where they're like the straight arm punches and stuff.
I'm
Oh,
feeling
yeah.
awkward and I'm not even there. Like,
Yeah,
But
where'd
he
you
was
look?
like looking directly. He was like looking directly at us, like, and I'm thinking,
Oh,
what's this all about? Like, I'm on my own here, and I looked at my wife, and then I thought, like, have we like offended someone or something like that? But then he just kept going, and he started doing all these karate moves, like towards our direction, but also like as he was doing the moves, stepping towards us, like he was like right in the middle of the carriage, I would say, but he was getting closer and closer. And I'm thinking, oh, this is not what I wanted tonight. I wanted a nice holiday. I'm going to have to, get in a fight with this guy, and I'm going to lose. Look at the size of him.
Mm-hmm.
And my wife, she looked at me with big eyes, like as if to say, don't say a word. I don't want to die on this train. And I think I said something. I think I can take him. And she was like, don't be ridiculous. Look at him. And he just kept marching towards us, these karate moves. And then at one point he did an air punch and then like kind of froze in the midair, with his like arm extended out, like, I don't know, mid-move or something. And then mercifully the train came to a station and opened the doors. And we jumped out of that train really, really quickly. We were in some like kind of backwater neighbourhood on the outside of Berlin.
Mm-hmm.
And me thinking, oh, thank fuck for that. We're out the train, off this weird, away from this weird guy. Like, that could have got scary.
Yeah,
But
you don't
then-
know what's gonna happen?
He had obviously walked to exactly where we were sat on the train, or sat at the end of the train.
Yeah.
And I, in fear or maybe getting ready for action, had left my Coke can on the windowsill.
Got it.
He comes out of the train, holding my Coke can.
wow, that was all he wanted the whole time.
No,
He was
but-
ready to fight for that.
He was ready to fight you for a Coke can.
no, it wasn't that though, because he started his robotic movements again, like exactly like a robot
sake.
working.
Maybe what you should go.
And
Maybe
he
what you
walked-
should go. Wow, that's amazing. No, do it again.
But like, so there was a bin, right? This bin, and instead of walking directly to it like a normal person, he did it in like not a zigzag, but he walked straight 2 steps and then turned right, and then walked like the 10 steps towards it, like exactly like a robot would walk, and then faced it, and then it extended his arm in a robotic fashion with the Coke can, and when the Coke can was like directly above the bin, he literally just opened his hands and let it fall into the bin.
Oh, so he's just a guy that's against litter, Shaun.
Well,
That's all. He knew you were going to do that, and you knew he could see it in your face. He's a litter bug.
I was drinking this Coke can. I don't know if it was anything to do with that in the start, but then it seemed like it might have had something to do with it by the end of it. And I'm thinking, well, he's going to come towards us again. But he literally, in his robotic fashion, turned the other way and marched off into the night and was never seen again.
Oh.
Wow.
So there's this legend. The legend of the...
But while this was
the
happening...
robotic Coke can carrying man.
I know. Oh, I was like...
That was a
I was
mouthful.
kind of a mixture of feelings.
That is strange. That's really, really
Sorry,
strange.
just having a wee drink of water.
That is a strange. That's so weird. I
was
never.
gonna
I don't know what you two do on holiday that attracts these weirdos to you,
Well,
but like I don't get anything like that.
It
I
might be
want
Germany.
stories like that. I have to travel. We used to. I have to go to Germany. That's what it is.
Well, when we were in Berlin, Shaun, we went to this rock bar and I went to order a drink and there was a guy just standing next to me with a taser, just like lighting up this taser and just casually standing, like staring into space, like lighting this taser, and I was like,
We had taser.
okay, that's okay.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That's creepy. I mean, there's a lot of creepy things that happen over there, that's for sure. But this guy, like, in the 5 minutes that we had saw him, I went from thinking, all right, he is bonkers, to he's going to fight me and I'm going to have to fight for our lives here, to let's get off the train. But meanwhile, when he was walking over to the bin with a can, my wife had heard a woman in the background talking Portuguese to someone, a Brazilian, and she went over and spoke to her, like, just so that we had somebody to speak to. So that basically we weren't alone, and we could have somebody that was maybe like a local to help us out. And we like asked her directions or something, but it was just so bizarre. And this man just marched off like an army, like one of these rigid army marches off into the distance, never to be seen again. Like, was that even his stop? Did he just get off because we got off? I've got lots of questions.
Maybe nobody else could see him. Maybe you could only see him. Maybe it was
like a RoboCop type of character.
He was just this,
but we were quite shook by this.
Soldier.
Yeah, that's really weird. That's a strange one. Yeah, I'd been a little creeped out by that.
It was weird. But we got back on the tube and went back to our friend's house, and they said it was some kind of like maybe right-wing white pride nationalist type of character because of how he was dressed. I'm not sure it was that, to be honest. I think he was just like a lunatic.
Yeah, maybe he was just...
You get them in every big city, don't you?
Yeah. And he was a young guy as well, by the way. He wasn't like an old guy. He was probably, I don't know, mid-20s or something like that. But he was like built like a tank.
It reminds me of this guy that lives around my bit, and I actually feel really bad for him. He sort of just wanders about and he shines a torch onto lampposts and into cars. But he got on the train after me once, and he was like punching behind my head, and I was like, oh, and it just reminded me of that.
Air
I feel
punches.
bad for him, though.
What were these people that do air punches in public? They don't air punch in public.
No, I just feel bad for him. He's just sort of wanders around all day, and I don't really know what's going on there.
Aye, Berlin is a weird place. Moscow,
I love it
if you've
so
never
much.
been there, you need to go.
I definitely want to go.
There's another weird thing that happened to us. I'll just tell you another wee quick story, right? Because it was funny at the time. Actually, that whole trip we were in Berlin, I think it's on YouTube as well. I filmed most of it. I didn't film that big crazy army dude because I didn't think that would be a good idea, but I should have got the evidence. Anyway, one night we were going out to a nightclub. The Germans love a nightclub, by the way. They love like electronic music nightclubs. We were going out to this nightclub. Some of our pals who live there were like, this is a great place. You'll really love it. And for whatever reason, the men and the women of our group got separated. My wife and her pals, they went up ahead and they went into the club like an hour before us for some reason. I can't remember why. But anyway, it was me and the two other guys, all the partners. We came in after. And we got to the door of this nightclub, and there was like 4 or 5 like big bouncers outside. And he put his hand, like there was no queue or anything, but he put his hand out to us and he said, "You guys cannot come in."
What? And
we were like, What? Why? Like, isn't this like a nightclb? He said, "Yes, but do you know what this place is?" And I was like, no. What is this place? Where have our wives taken us? What is this?
Bar.
He's like, 3 men. You cannot come in, 3 men together. And we're like, that is really weird. What's going on here? And then we said, but our wives are inside. Our 3 wives. And he said, "Oh, really?" And then he went inside and he basically fetched our wives and brought them out. Okay. And he's like, "Okay, you can come in with a partner. You can't come in as 3 men because we need a balance in here."
Was it a sex club or something?
Exactly. Yeah, how did you know that? So we went in.
Oh, God.
And the first thing we saw was like this big giant swimming pool. And all the way around it was like poles and like chairs. Like, like a doctor's chairs, but they weren't used by doctors. if you know what I mean.
It was a
and,
GP
like, booths and
and a
stuff.
titty bar.
So no, but it wasn't even like a show bar or anything like that. It was
This
literally
is a different type of milk bar, isn't it?
Yeah.
This is a real milk bar. No, but it was
None of
literally
your
like a
rubbish
set.
Aussie milk bars are a real milk bar.
So apparently it's quite famous. It's called Kit Kat in Berlin. You guys are like writing that down. Kit Kat.
Yeah.
There.
Well, there was a bloody bar in Edinburgh, GHQ. I'm sure it's what it was called. The gay bar underground that had the beds in it.
Well, this place was exactly like that because we went downstairs underground and it had like cages with like beds and stuff.
Yep.
But anyway, the night that we went there apparently wasn't one of those nights. Even though there were people who had leather trousers on that had holes in parts.
Got it.
But it wasn't one of those nights. It was basically a night where you go and like they have like I think they call them like relax nights or something like that, but nights where you can just basically go there and it's a club and you can listen to music. And also I filmed the whole thing and I put it on YouTube and I later found out that it's entirely forbidden to film anything inside there.
Oh, no way.
I even got comments from people from the place who were like, you cannot film in here, this is a private space.
Oh, did you take the video down or is it still there?
I think it's still there.
I'm going to fucking watch it.
Aye. But yeah, apparently, I live quite a sheltered. I don't know about you guys, but I live quite a sheltered life. I've never been to anywhere like that before.
Oh no, I used to go to GHQ, but I will admit when I went to Amsterdam, that made me very uncomfortable.
Yeah,
there was a gay bar. I'm sure it was a gay bar in Glasgow with beds on it, and do you know what it was called?
Oh.
Milk.
Oh. Milk.
I've heard of
Milk.
Milk.
It was amazing. It played like Limp Bizkit and stuff, and I'm pretty sure it was a gay. Maybe it wasn't a gay bar, but it was.
I think it is.
Bar.
No, I think it is. I think it is.
Amazing, so much fun. But yeah, what was I going to say there about? Yeah, no. See, I don't know. I've never really been to places like that, but I definitely saw a lot when I went to Hamburg. There was a lot of, women of the night and
But I don't think this was a place where you get like women of the night. It wasn't like that. It was just like everybody gets it on, basically.
It was maybe a BDSM, like a BDSM club or a place where
something
people
like
go for that kind of thing. Yeah.
But just to be clear, on the night that we went, it was nothing like that. It was just like good music and drinking.
You could have discovered your sub and dom.
And if you don't believe me, it's on YouTube.
Love it.
Yeah, that was a bit of a weird one.
Bit of voyeurism. Okay. Yes.
Oh, what a go now.
Yeah. Kit Kat in Berlin. Famous, apparently.
Yeah, I really like Germany. I've been to quite a few places in Germany, but the last place that I went was Hamburg, and that was a whole other kettle of fish. And I feel bad because Hamburg, like, it's actually meant to be a really nice place, but we stayed in a really dodgy area. Really dodgy.
Oh, really?
Like, we looked up the hostel beforehand and it had good reviews and stuff, but the area, I don't know why we didn't look. I don't know, I feel like we did look it up because we don't usually go in somewhere blind, but oh my god. But I will say, see our bedroom window, it was the most exciting. We just sat and had drinks and looking out our bedroom window because you could see like the local prostitute. She was walking about, and is prostitute the right term these days? Sex worker.
I don't know if that's
I don't know. People can correct us. They can let us know.
Yeah. So
I'm being cancelled for
sex worker. I don't know. She would be like walking about the street, like looking for work, and then there was like this pimp. Like you could tell he was our pimp, and he always ate yogurt. He was always like in the windows eating yogurt. We were like right opposite this hotel. We saw a couple having sex in one of the windows. And then like there was
as you do.
It was crazy. Like we walked to the shop and we got like shouted at. We got like totally harassed the whole way to the shop. It was horrendous. And
by what, men and stuff?
Yeah, by men. There was a woman that
that's just
was
creepy.
Passed out on the ground and someone robbed her. And we saw this from the window and we were like, is anyone going to help her? And then thankfully the police arrived.
What is this place?
And then they just walked right by her and I was like, holy shit. And then we thought, right, let's go to the harbour because that's meant to be a nice bit. So we got to the train station right away. There was a man on the ground in the train station and he quite clearly just died. And I was like,
what?
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Literally a dead person.
Yeah, literally a dead person because I was like, I've never seen, well, I have, but like, that's not the colour that human should be, you know? And there was luckily people, like 2 people had clocked on and I think they were like getting help. And But yeah, that whole trip we just got harassed the whole time. No joke. I've made a whole video about it because there was like at least 20 times where we got followed, or it was always at train stations. We got followed, we got shouted at, we got like, this man was like standing touching me up on the train, and I was like, get away from it. There was 2 men on the platform who were like nodding at each other, and we were like, we need to get out of here, because like they were on either side of us, and I was like, there's something not right here. So we just like ended up staying in a really bad part of Hamburg, and I feel bad because it was like, everyone's like, oh, Hamburg's so good, but we just were in a really bad bit.
Did you see did you see any good parts of Hamburg?
Yeah, when we actually went to the nicer bits, yeah, it was lovely. But that sort of clouded our whole trip.
So be mindful of the areas that you're going to, maybe.
That's the weird thing, we always are, and the hostel had really good reviews, but it was just the street next to it that was really, really bad, and like the stations and stuff, like, because our nearest station was the central station, which usually they are the roughest parts, but it was,
well, at least you got some entertainment from the windows.
Oh my god, it's amazing, absolutely amazing. Like, we just watched, there was the resident homeless man as well, who would like, we liked watching him and his friends, and oh my god, it was great. But so much happened out that window.
Tell you what, that is like my bloody story for Japan is going to be like so different compared to some of these stories we've been telling tonight.
Yeah, we went kind of dark.
Story. I know, I just totally like ruined the mood there. Like, can someone tell a funny story?
Oh, right,
yeah,
well I tell my Japanese one.
Yeah,
Japan.
This is ridiculous.
I've always wanted to go there, by the way.
Same.
I'm really jealous that you've been there.
I honestly would recommend everybody goes to Japan at least once in their life. Like, it is just, there's no words to describe how incredible Japan is. Like,
I imagine.
They're
like
light years
unreal.
ahead of us. They're light years. I mean, don't get me wrong, they're behind us in certain aspects, but they're light years ahead of us in like when it comes to trains, especially. Like the Shinkansen, the bullet trains that travel at like 200 to 300 miles per hour, and they're incredible. They're absolutely incredible. And there was one time they apologised for their train with massive delays, and guess how long the delays were?
Oh no, 5 minutes.
20 seconds.
20 seconds. Sorry for the delay.
Their train was 20 seconds late, and they apologised profusely. And I thought, because I had Google Maps on my phone, and it came up with like major delays, and I was like, oh, that's cool, we can like get lunch and like shop around the train station. No. Their version of fucking major delays is 20 seconds. Anyway,
wow,
that's what Japan's like, right? So anyway, this story, in order to understand this story, I have to take you back to before the trip. So I was going with my friend Ruby. And
I remember this, by the way, because I remember we were talking at the time. You're like, oh, I'm going to Japan.
Yeah, I was so excited, and we were planning everything, and like, obviously for me, the audience knows I'm a massive nerd, I'm a huge geek, and I grew up playing Pokemon. I have played every Pokemon game that has ever come out. I'm a massive Pokemon nerd. I grew up on the original anime, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, well, if we're going, we have to go to one of the Pokemon centres, like, whilst we're there, which is like where they sell everything Pokemon. And it's usually like there's like a Pokemon cafe, and you could get Pokemon themed drinks and food, and
my God.
and they do like a Pikachu
amazing.
parade. It is incredible, right? And I was so excited. So I was like, right, we need to plan this into our itinerary. So we planned it in. And Ruby played like, I think, the original game, and she maybe watched a little bit of the original series, and that was it. That was kind of her extent of Pokemon. And so I was like, right, that day, Ruby, I'm not allowed to spend more than like X amount of money. Like, you have to, like, I can't go crazy on that day because it was very early in the trip. And I was like, and we've still got like, we're going to be there for like 2.5 weeks, and I think this was like day 4 or something, or 5 into the trip, and I was like, I can't spend too much money. And she was like, don't you worry, I've got you covered, I'll make sure that you don't spend too much. And so, like, bubbling, full of excitement, the day arrives, and Ruby's chill, and I am bouncing off the walls. I am so excited. I'm like a child going to Disneyland, right? I'm so excited. So we get there, we go in, and even the hallway into the elevator has artwork everywhere, all this Pokemon artwork, and it's got Sakura trees, and there's Pikachu, and I'm freaking out. Nice. And we get into the elevator, and it's got artwork in the elevator, and the doors open, and there's a giant Snorlax, and I'm so happy. Aww. And anyway, it's like, it's a time, and we even get given like cute little like things to wear on your arms or your hat or whatever it was. Anyway, I was like, oh, I was so excited, and I got a basket, and I was like, right, now I need to take it in but not spend too much. So we go into the shop and Ruby's following me and she's like, oh yeah, this is kind of cool, this is cool. And I'm like, right, I need to get my friend Pokemon cards because I promised her I would get her Japanese Pokemon cards whilst I was there because she collects them. And I was like, cool, Ruby, you wait here and I'll be right back. So I go find the Pokemon cards and I'm like, I'm looking at all the different like costs and like try to compare to get the best ones. So I get my Pokemon cards and I go back to Ruby, who was chill before I left her, and I find her and she's got 5 plushies in her basket. She's got the biggest Pikachu ever underneath one arm and she's got a Pikachu hat on her head and she looks at me and she goes, I don't know what happened.
I don't know what happened.
I was like, something happened. I left you for like 3 minutes. Where did all this come from? And she was like, yeah, well, it looked good. I'm like, you have to put it back. Like, you can't, that Pikachu plushie can't come with you. It's like the size of your suitcase. So you would think I was taking candy off of a child, taking that away from her. She was looking at me as if to say, excuse me. And then I was like, right, okay, well, you can't get all those plushies because they're not going to fit in your suitcase either. And I was like, right, so what ones do you want? And she was like, well, I need a Pikachu plushie. I was like, right, okay, so just get Pikachu. She was like, yeah, but he needs his friends. And I'm like, Ruby, we came here for me. What happened? So I'm like fighting with her to try and put half these plushies back, but she refuses to the point that she had to throw out pairs of her jeans to fit them into her suitcase by the time we got back.
Brilliant.
Priorities.
She did have her priorities straight, I will give her that. And I ended up spending less than she did in that shop.
Wow.
Moral of the story, take your chill pals to the Pokemon Centre because they're going to go mental.
They lose their shit.
Yeah.
Moscow, I was thinking about you today because my friend did a...
Were you?
Yeah, she did a lateral flow test. And
why were you thinking of me for a lateral flow test?
The results were all smudgy and it looked like Pikachu. And I was like, oh my god, that looks like Pikachu. And I was telling my colleague today and she went, is it not Kickapoo? I was like, no.
Oh my god.
No, it's not.
It's very not.
I was like, I'll need to tell her that.
Yeah.
That sounds amazing though. I'd absolutely love to go to that place. Like, I was into, like, I'm not like into Pokemon at that level, but I used to watch it when I was a kid and I also used to collect the cards as well a lot when I was younger.
I wanted to be into
I also played Pokemon Go as well a little bit. But I was never massive into it, but you know, I still like it. It's still cool, and I would love to go to that place in Japan.
Oh, it's incredible. I mean, there's a few Pokemon centres. The one that we went to was in Osaka because it's one of the bigger ones. But there are like a few dotted around Japan. But oh yeah, it was great, and the food was good, and the drinks were incredible, and the Pikachu parade was adorable, and it was great. The whole thing.
Did you have?
Sorry, Shaun, on you go.
I was just going to say, did you have any problems with like not speaking Japanese?
No.
Just speaking English?
No. So I had learned enough Japanese to get me around before we went on a trip. What I would say is, like, online people are like, oh yeah, you don't need Japanese to get around. We struggled. Like, if I didn't have my limited Japanese, we would have struggled.
Wow.
My advice to everybody is, on the website that you get your JR pass from, you can also get a pocket Wi-Fi hotspot. And I think for us it was like 70 quid for the full 2 and a bit weeks that we were there, which is worth it. Because you charge that up through the night and then through the day it allows you to connect 10 devices. So that was our 2 phones and we used Google Maps to get us everywhere. And Google Maps in Japan is immaculate. It is spot on with buses, with trains. Like we didn't get on the wrong train or get off at the wrong stop once using Google Maps. So highly recommend that.
And I always thought it'd be quite intimidating as well, like for getting around. But that sounds good. Yeah,
it was very good, and there was a few interactions. So my trouble came from them, like when we would go to buy tickets into places, they would either ask you how many people or how many tickets do you want. Now I'd remembered the word hutatsu. Hutatsu meaning like 2 in that sort of sense, like 2 tickets, or hutari, which is 2 people, because it was just me and Ruby that were going, so I only needed to remember that word, that sort of the 2. And they would ask me like how many tickets or how many people, and I would always answer the wrong version, and they would smile and then they would correct me, but they would never do it in like a condescending way. It was always like, oh, you tried, like that was really cute kind of way. But most of the places, like if they did speak English, you would walk up and they would look at you and you would go, you're English. But a lot of places are like menus on the bars and things, so you could just point to what you wanted.
That's pretty good.
But I knew enough Japanese that it was helpful for asking for things like milk for tea,
Milk.
At the milk bar.
which is gyunyu or mikuru, depending on which one you want to use. But yes, you can use both of them.
Steph said she went to
awesome.
Japan and she did go to Japan, and she said that they went to this rock bar and there was this wee man who she said it was like really like the dirtiest wee place ever, and everything else that they'd seen was immaculate, and it was this wee guy who everything was like 666 on the menu and he was always going rock on.
Wow, that was incredible.
I love how you say wee man, by the way. That's how, in Scotland we say wee for everything, and wee man is just like the perfect way, way to explain a wee man. And it doesn't necessarily mean he was wee, but he was a wee man.
I did like for like going away, I always try and learn like a little bit of the language, and for Germany I do know a bit of German, I can get around, but I just always like whenever I did struggle, like sometimes I would panic in an actual conversation and I would go, mein Deutsch is nicht so gut, so like my German's not so good, and they would always go, me too, and I'd be like, ha ha ha. Good one.
Yeah, I learned that as well. So you could say like, now that I put on the spot, it's all gonna disappear in my mind. Wakarimasen moi chiroite kudasai. So that's like, I'm sorry, Can you say that again, please? Like, I didn't understand. Can you repeat?
You said that really like fluent sounding.
Thank you. Yeah, and then Nihongo go jozu janai desu is like, my Japanese is not good. Please, it is not good. I'd learned these little phrases, but there was one gentleman in Osaka station where I was trying to ask for directions. He had limited English, I had limited Japanese, and the two of us had a ball trying to communicate with each other. It was great. The two of us were just killing ourselves laughing, smiling, pointing, trying to use our limited words in the other person's language. It was great. It was so good.
That sounds awesome.
I'd love to go there one day.
Yeah, one day we'll go. We should all go and do like a YouTube trip.
Oh my gosh,
Japan.
God.
YouTubers in Japan. We'll just not do any stupid stuff like some of the other people who go there do.
And
You're gonna have to
yeah.
physically drag me out of some of the anime shops, because I was in and out every single Shonen Jump shop when we were in Japan trying to find stuff for the animes that I like. And there was one of the shops I went into this one shop. Do you know who the anime man is, Joey?
No.
No.
Okay, so he's got like over 2 million subscribers on YouTube. He's maybe got more than that now, but he like covers anime topics. And when I was in one of the Shonen Jump shops, he walks in, and at the time I don't think I recognised who he was with, but I actually, now thinking back, it might have been Gigark, who was another anime YouTuber, but I'm not quite sure. Anyway, I recognised the anime man, and I was like, oh my god. I was like, because we were leaving the shop, and I was like to Ruby, I have to go back. I can't not go back and say hello. Like, I have to go back.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my god, like total fangirl moment. Turned around, had my camera, and I was like, I'll just ask him for a quick picture. Hopefully he's okay. And I walked up to him and I was like, hi, are you the anime man? He was like, yeah. And I was like, oh my gosh, can I get a picture with you? And he was like, yeah. And he was so chill and so cool, and I was like so flustered. I was like, I don't want to take up too much of your time, like I know you're probably really busy, I'm just gonna go now. And he was like, no, like he was really open, and he was really eager, and he had a smile on his face, and I think he was trying to ask me where I was from, but I just like ran away from him.
Did you take the opportunity to say, by the way?
No, I didn't.
Say, I'm a YouTuber as well.
No, I didn't. No, I just ran. I took my picture and I ran.
Because I did that, and it's kind of like another kind of awkward travel story, but I did exactly that when I saw someone who was on YouTube who was I was in Brazil in Sao Paulo, which is a big city down there.
Yep.
And there's like a bunch of foreigner YouTubers who live in Brazil, like probably I want to say like 8 or 10 of them, like mostly Americans or people from around Europe who basically vlog about their lives in Brazil. And there's 2 or 3 of them that are really massive, and there was this guy that I bumped into. I was literally in this tiny little bar in Sao Paulo, and this guy, like, I follow on Instagram because, I like to keep in touch with what's happening in Brazil because I'll spend a lot of time there. And I saw this guy come into the bar, this tiny little bar, which is enough for like 10 people, and it was this YouTuber that I follow and I watch his stuff. And he's got like, probably at the time he had like 1 million followers, now he's got like 3 million or something. And the same as like you Moscow, when you met that guy, but I went up to him and said, oh, by the way, I'm a YouTuber as well. And here's me at the time, like I've got like 100,000 subscribers, and of course he had no idea who I was. He was like, all right. He's like, oh yeah, that's nice. But in actual fact, he's a cool guy, and we had a good chat and we had a beer, and he ended up following me as well, so it was pretty cool.
That's
always
cool.
Good when they're nice.
That's good. Yeah. I think if I'd stayed and spoken to the anime man a little bit more, he probably would have he seemed like he was so open and ready for a conversation. Like he had the biggest smile on his face when I recognised him. He was up for a discussion. I was not. I was ready to flee. I was like, I got my picture, thank you. You're really nice. Keep going, have a great day. And I turned around and just ran out of the shop.
I'm Googling him.
So we actually got a question. Yes. We actually got a question from someone which really relates to what we just talked about. Okay, but the kind of flip. So we just talked about being really embarrassed about meeting YouTubers and talking to them. So I got a question from Jason Reynolds, who said, it's not really a question, it's more of a discussion point. He says he's had an awkward encounter because he has a YouTube channel. He's got 100 subscribers. Jason Reynolds, by the way, I think he's from Edinburgh in Scotland. He said he was at his job and someone came to chat to him and said he watches his videos. And also knew everything about him and knew his wife and his family and asked for them by name. So basically he said, what do you guys think about when people come up to you and know everything about your life, who see you on YouTube, who follow you, and then, come and say hi? Like, how does that, have you had any awkward encounters in particular that they can recall?
For this one, because it depends on how much they know and if I've made it public. So, if they come up to me and they're like, oh, hey, you're, Tammy or Moscow, because both those names are public, and they're like, oh, yeah, I follow your videos, and I that time that you went to Japan, and stuff that I've put up on the internet that I'm totally cool people know, and that for me is great. If they came up to me and they were like, oh, you're Tammy Moon, and your blood type is O negative, and you went to the St. Catholic school of this time between that would freak the shit out of me. I'd be like, oh, and then they're like, yeah, your little brother and sister's name is X and Y. I'd be like, oh, okay, I think I mentioned that in one video, one time, maybe. That's quite creepy. So it depends. It depends, yeah.
Actually, by the way, so it's kind of the same thing happens with me, but I can't complain about it because I think you guys, when you do your films at home, you have your set and that's it, right? Whereas I basically, as a vlog, I kind of sometimes wander all the way around my house and show all the details. And it's not that I'm trying to show them, it's just that sometimes things are in the background, and sometimes I'm vlogging and some of my family members walk past and blah blah blah, and so people literally pay attention to all the details. And if you show it on camera, and it doesn't matter if it passes for a second, people notice and pay attention to it, and they bring it up as talking points. But also, my sister Justine was on one of my vlogs once, and we got a comment on YouTube on this podcast episode actually, and they thought, Tammy, that you were my sister who appeared in my vlog. So
I saw that.
They thought that
I saw
we were brother
that.
and sister. That's quite funny. And to be fair, we probably could be because we're quite similar in some ways. But yeah, I thought that was quite cute. But yeah, people pay attention to these things. Sometimes they don't get all the details right, but they pay attention to it.
I think I did a video on this as well, where it depends on how you. It's always about how you approach somebody. But for me, if a girl came up to me or somebody that was femme presenting came up to me and quoted off a few extra points, I probably wouldn't be as intimidated as your big karate guy if he came up to me.
Yeah.
And he rattled off those. But that would be that.
Or just a big bearded man.
Just yeah. I think you have to think about there's a lot of things you have to think about before you approach somebody with that much information about them as to whether or not they're going to take it well or take it poorly.
Some people
that's
do
the thing,
know
I feel
lot of stuff, and
sorry.
it's no, sorry. I've had a few really creepy comments and things. A man emailed me my address once. I have people that like to tell me random things that they remember from old videos that are sometimes they get the information slightly wrong, but they just want me to know that they know it, kind of thing. But I've definitely had some strange comments online, but I'm I just ignore it. And I've never really had a woman doing it. It's always men.
Always men.
So that's kind of the reason why I don't tend to reply to a lot of men online. It is sort of, I guess it is quite sexist in that way, because obviously the majority won't be coming from a bad place. It's not though, because you're not encouraging the behaviour then. You know what I mean? If you don't reply to it, then you're not encouraging the behaviour. When you reply, that's the minute you're encouraging it. Yeah, exactly. So usually on Twitter I'll reply to a lot of the guys that just have banter. And so I've got a lot of my usuals on Twitter that I will tweet back to, and then the others I just ignore. If you're not getting a reply from me on Twitter on the regular, it's probably because your comments have made me feel uncomfortable, or I just don't have much to say on the matter. Exactly.
See, I think it should not be like this at all. It should not be like this just because I'm a man and you guys are women. It shouldn't be like this. But, you know, the reality is I've got a bit of privilege over you guys for the fact that I'm a man, and, you know, just about anybody could come up to me and say anything and I won't be that scared by it. Like, whereas you guys, it's totally different, you know? I don't want to sound like, you know, I'm kind of encouraging this behavior or trying to like justify it at all, but it's really wrong. But at the end of the day, you know, like I said, if a big bearded man came up to me and started being a bit weird and creepy, like, I think it'd be much more of a big deal for you guys and me.
Yeah, it probably would.
Like, I have some men in my DMs that have been talking to me non-stop for like over a year, and I've not replied once, and they just keep going, and I'm like,
I haven't ventured into any of my DMs in a long time. Maybe that'll be a video sometime. Let's go and look through the creepy DMs.
Do you know what I did? I don't know if you saw my Instagram stories, but I shared some of the strange messages. It was like on like a private one, I think, and it was like I had voice notes from a man. It was the weirdest. Wow. Oh god, I'll let you show them.
Like, as much as I would love to do a video about it, and I think it'd be great entertainment, I also worry, am I then encouraging the behaviour? That's the thing.
Yeah, you'll get more weird
it's hard.
ones, like hoping they'll be in a video.
Hoping that they'll be in a video. Yes, you've got to think about all that.
At the same time, you know, I must admit I've had a lot of really, really, really positive in-person experiences that just happen at random on the street.
For sure.
And I always do exactly the same thing, no matter who I'm with. If I'm with my wife, or actually I think I did it with you, Moscow, as well once. Whenever it happens, the first thing I do afterwards is excuse me, is I turn to my wife or turn to whoever I'm with and say, was I nice? And I get really, 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 really paranoid, because like I'm not like a rude person in general anyway. Like I'm not, but I always get this thing where if somebody recognizes me and comes to say hi, I want to make sure that they had like a good experience, like they didn't feel like I was being rude, because that's the worst. I don't know if you've ever recognized someone you said hi, like a celebrity, about having they're rude, and then it like totally changes your impression of them. And so like I'm really hyper conscious of that. And so I always, like, when it's ever happened with me on the street and someone's been come up and said hi, I turned to my wife and said, was that nice then? I get paranoid about it. But
I always get really shy
it's happened quite a lot. You know, it's happened a lot in Edinburgh. It's happened a lot in Glasgow as well a couple of times. But also in America, when I was in New York, I got recognised a couple of times, which was really weird, like going to the other side of the world. But it's always been really positive for me, I have to admit.
Yeah, I think I would like to think of myself as being a kind person when people approach, but I'm not scared to put my foot down if I feel like somebody's being creepy or weird. I will put my foot down.
I've always been a bit awkward when it happens.
We've obviously been speaking now for about an hour, and it's really cool to talk about these things. These are things we don't tend to talk about between us, but you know, in this podcast, it's almost like a talk with friends, and we just you know, get stuff off our chest. But we have decided at the end of these podcasts that we're going to talk about things that we are loving at the moment and things we might be liking. So, a couple of minutes each, really. Who should we start with? Moscow, do you want to go?
Yeah, I'll go. I have been obsessed lately. Absolutely obsessed with Breath of the Wild. I know I'm late to the game. This is a Zelda game. It's on the Switch. And it was like when Switch first came out, it was one of their launch titles. So this is going back like 5 years. I think it was 2017 it came out. And it was it's gone down as one of the best games in like history. And that's the thing about the Legend of Zelda series, is anytime you Google like top 100 games of all times, no matter whose list you're on, in the top 10 there's always a Zelda game, and it's usually number one. And Breath of the Wild has topped IGN's top 100 games of all time as of last year's listings. Wow. And I just picked the game up this year and started playing it because I was like refusing to play it. I was like, no, I'm not going to play this mainstream game everybody loves. But I picked it up, I started playing it, and I absolutely am obsessed with this game. So that's amazing. That's what I've been loving.
Brilliant.
That sounds awesome. And that is really, you might think that's kind of sounds like geeky and nerdy, but I've got something I bet it's even more geeky.
Oh, okay.
I'm intrigued.
What about you, Erin?
Well, the thing that I'm probably most obsessed with just now is I'm reading Dave Grohl's book. It's called The Storyteller.
Oh, right, yeah.
It is so good. Like, it's all about
I love that man, by the way.
Me too. It's all about how he got started, and he's actually really good at writing. Not that, I mean, he's great at everything, so why wouldn't he be good at writing? But
yeah,
you can actually like feel how he's feeling like when you read his writing, and you can feel like how excited he was and like the nostalgia, and it's so good. And I'm only halfway through, but I'm loving it, and I would actually recommend it.
Is it like an autobiography then?
Yeah, it's all about his life, and there's pictures in it, and just now I'm just on like when he started in Nirvana, and oh my god, it's so good. I love it. I just love that man as well.
Wow.
He's brilliant.
I love him. Like I think probably one of my favourite ever concerts was seeing Foo Fighters, and the energy that he brings.
Yeah.
And he's not like one of these like asshole rock and roll stars. He's just like a guy that loves to perform and be there in the moment, and just a nice guy, he seems.
And there's a whole chapter on the universe.
That's cool.
Which I was like, oh my god.
Oh really?
Yeah, and I love that stuff. And then he mentions he mentions The Lost Boys and Stand By Me, which are two of my favourite films, and I was like, this is just, I was meant to read this.
Incredible.
What about you, Shaun?
Well, I'm gonna check that book out. Hopefully he's done an audio version, because I'm writing.
Oh my god, he has, and he reads it himself.
That is the best.
Brilliant.
Can I just say, by the way, audiobooks,
amazing.
I automatically gravitate towards ones where the author is the one who speaks it.
He literally reads his own book. Oh my god, I'm so excited for
amazing.
you. Go and listen.
Oh, I'm going to listen to that, and I'll give you my feedback.
Yes.
I'm sure I'm going to love it, because I love Dave Grohl as well.
You will.
For me, I've been loving this week something which is entirely geeky and not many people are going to understand. But ever since I was a kid, I always wanted to be a pilot, airplane pilot, right? But that dream died many years ago. But I've been playing Microsoft Flight Simulator.
Nerd. I'm kidding.
I literally bought an Xbox just so I could play Microsoft Flight Simulator, and I tell you what, it is flipping amazing.
It's
and it's
really
amazing.
cool.
The cool thing about it, right? They have literally mapped out the entire planet exactly how it is.
That's incredible.
No, that is not nerdy.
You can fly over your house, and it will be exactly like your house in your garden or wherever you live. I'm telling you, it is like you can take off from Edinburgh or Glasgow Airport, and you can go a wee fly, and you'll literally be. You can find your house.
I need this.
You can fly over it. They've mapped the world exactly how it is in real life, and it's so bizarre. But I love it. So obviously that's like an easy flight mode if you want to fly anywhere in the world. Like you can literally take yourself traveling to places you've been or want to go, and you can see them from the air. Obviously you're in a plane, but you still get a really awesome perspective of the place.
Can you crash
So that's
it?
the fun part of it.
Honestly, video games can make you do and experience things you just couldn't otherwise do. They're
It's
great.
amazing.
They're really great.
I mean, I think, to be honest, they use Google Earth. They've basically implanted Google Earth into this game, but it's still pretty realistic. But so you can do that. That's the kind of fun side of it. But the serious side of it is, if you want, you can go on like a hard level and literally learn all the controls of like a real plane and actually learn how to fly it. And it's from all that I've seen from like real airline pilots and stuff, it's pretty damn accurate.
Can you crash it?
So I've crashed a lot. It's incredibly frustrating, but you literally need to learn like all the stuff that a pilot needs to learn. I mean, I'm not saying it's as hard as being an actual airline pilot when you've got actual lives in the back of your plane, but if somebody who's always dreamed of flying a plane, it's pretty cool.
You should get the goggles. Would you
That's
call
really
it?
cool.
VR.
VR, yeah.
No, alright, okay. I thought you were talking about like actual aeroplane goggles. I was like, that'd be so cute, just sitting in your living room with these like little aeroplane steampunk like goggles on your head. Like, oh, it'd be so adorable. If you do, you have to send us a selfie of that.
So, and I'm actually thinking like I might actually start a YouTube channel one day of like being a fake airline pilot.
Do it.
Microsoft Flight Simulator. And there's people who I've actually looked on YouTube, right? There's people who will literally fly a jet and they do all the control, like all the wee buttons that you need to turn on to make the engine start and all the rest of it. They will fly from like London to like Singapore, and for the whole 12 or 14 hours it takes, the entire flight, they will do everything like for like the whole journey.
Oh my god.
And even, by the way, the weather and the daylight is like matched to real life. So like if it's raining in a place, like the weather will be exactly the same.
Oh, that's cool.
At the moment.
That's
so
mad.
it's like a real sim. That is some geeky crap, but I'm loving it.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Loving it. But yeah, that was an awesome chat. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was good.
To get stuff off our chest, and just to talk about stuff.
So much chest chat.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to doing it again. Like I'm already looking forward to the next 2 weeks.
Me too. I wonder what I'm going to do it about next time.
I know, it's your turn. You're up, Erin.
It's just going to be all about cysts.
Cysts and ghosts.
If you insist.
Yeah,
sisters.
I'll stop now. I'll stop.
But hopefully everyone listening had a good experience and enjoyed it as well, and hopefully you will continue, as we said, to leave us ratings and comments and all the rest of it. And we all hope that you all have a really good week or 2 weeks until we speak to you again on the podcast.
Thanks for listening.
And thanks for listening, I guess. Good to speak to you all. And good to speak to you guys, Moscow and Erin.
Yes, you too.
You big nerd.
Catch you again soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Ciao.